Hello, my name is John Sveck. Welcome to this All 24 video. Today, Coach Waterman and I are joined by a very special guest, Coach Josh Lambert, who is currently an offensive assistant for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Thanks for being with us, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's I spent a lot of time out here in the AUS and coached with both you guys there at X for a number of years. So appreciate you having me here.
All right, Coach. So we have some video up now that you're going to take us through. So I'll kind of again give you the floor and let you talk us through these crossers concepts.
Sure. So we're going to start with a mesh here. It's going to be for us technically our mesh X. So the mesh is going to come from the field and mesh the effector 4 is going to be X over here to the boundary coming from the one-man side. So. Oh, sorry, Z, I didn't, we got the motion wrong. All right, but you see the mesh, you see him settle, come underneath and create the space. If we take it back there, you're gonna see him do a great job of pushing it by the 5-yard depth here, X, and then that little bit of a dive back underneath right there. The effector, it's subtle. It doesn't have to be huge because you don't want to bleed a lot of speed. All right, we see the effector come across, not really anyone to affect. He's not going to veer off his spot and get a penalty there. He's going to work his landmark because again, the affected 4 is using him, so he's got to be consistent. So, see that here.
So even though he seems to have his eyes ahead of him and he sees the defender, he's not going to adjust his track. He's going for that spot.
He's going for that spot because the under runner needs him, expects him to be in that spot to use him. Right? It's kind of the difference of the way we've run it at Acadia in the past. Yeah, we would have had him angle slightly more out at him. I mean, obviously there's a point of legality there too, but angles more at him. But here, no, you stick on your landmark and let the other guy work.
Can you talk a little bit about the technique of the effector, exactly what you want him to do?
Sure. As he comes to a stop here too, the other thing we call is the other, and this is, I'll footnote a guy who used to play for me here, Jaden Reed, quarterback. He calls it fat guy on a sidewalk. So as you come through here, you're literally, we talk about extending your hands to the quarterback to make it look, like you're receiving a pass, harder to throw the flag, but it also makes you want to try and make yourself as wide as a sidewalk, a full yard, and make people work around you. So you see him work that here to a certain extent. And the last 4, he could be a little bit more dynamic. You see he's trying to drop his weight there a little bit. You'll see a little bit better examples sometimes.
And Coach, yeah, we're going through a concept here, and there's a play built around it that can have a lot of variation. So is there anything consistent with your quarterback, or does his thought process change based on some of the other things that are going on?
Consistent is tough. A lot of this stuff, I really enjoy free releasing the tailback on when we get to the fences and stuff like here. Love free releasing the tailback on it. So in that case, your first look is almost always the tailback. Did he out leverage? Did they adjust well? And then you kind of work from there because the mesh takes time. It's not something you throw right here. So right here, there's a post over top. It should be from W there, just on the way to the numbers. That's kind of his first look, and then he's got the diagonal there as well, coming right now over the hat. So he's got time to peek some vertical shots on his way to these unders. So that's something that is relatively consistent in the read. And then when you are free releasing the tailback, that's always got to be your first look, just as blitz control. And then you work, that determines how you work to the fence from there.
And a good look at it here, you get a fast guy crossing boundary to field. If he gets the ball, there's sometimes some explosive plays out of that.
Yep. Well, I mean, one of the best guys I ever saw, it was Chris Williams back in the day. You throw him a 4-yard under, you can't be right. You're either in front of him or you're behind him. Jordan Catterall was like that for us back in the day. Same thing. You throw him a 4-yard route, I don't care what angle you take, you're wrong. So.
All right, next clip here, and more of a closer to the goal line. So this will be interesting here, Coach, if you want to talk us through this one.
Yep. Absolutely. So now the tight end is the effector here, 27, Tanner Green on the near side. You're going to see this is this is one of those non-glamorous reps here. Comes across, initiates a little contact there perhaps.
The defensive coach on the panel will bite his tongue.
Yeah, exactly. But again, here you watch Tanner as he takes that first step upfield. He doesn't, he's got to get around the D lineman, first step upfield, and then work to his landmark, Obviously, X does a hell of a job of using his effector here. But again, multiple formations. Now you've got a trip set with a tight end. Really, it's kind of an extended quads with the fullback getting out there. But all of this stuff, all these crossers are awesome for down in the red zone. But then again, as soon as you get down in that area, you're going to get more pressure. So you have to be confident and in your hots and knowledgeable. So.
And again, we've spoken about your, affected 4 player. Are his eyes just locked on the effector? Is that what he's kind of doing as he's going there?
Really, he's got that first step. He's got to still bore his eyes into his own guy to sell him on it, and then as he starts the slant portion underneath, he can look ahead, try and figure out what's going on. It's about a feel about the guy on him as well, right? He can trust where that guy's going to be to a certain extent and feel how the man on him is playing, how tight he is, and how to use that rub, or in this case, an eraser. But,
Tough to defend on the goal line. That's great.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they're huge down there, especially you get into the fences and you start free releasing tailbacks on the goal line. Ooh.
All right, next play here,
okay.
Coach.
Yep. So this one's going to be a fence. You're going to see the affected 4 again working under a lot of traffic. You're going to see the tight end up top supply the squat route here. All right, so squat. That's actually a fullback now. Calvin McCarty out there. There's a multiple fullback set. So he's out there playing slot, being the other effector. Affected 4, you see him push just past the landmark and come underneath. And then again, this is a good example of he feels, again, the eyes are on the tailback first because of what else is going on with the play. He feels he out-leveraged him and there's enough room. Give it to him and see if your athlete can make a play.
You get a bit more of a zone look on this one, and that is maybe one of the reasons that it's going out there so fast.
Yep. Yeah, he feels like he's out-leveraged. As soon as he sees, I think that's Grimes, turn his shoulders inside and come in that little bit, pause with the effector. He feels that circle has out-leveraged him. Hell of an open field tackle here, and all that good stuff. But you got to give your athlete a chance to make a play. All right, this is another fence. Now this time we're going to work it with 3 receivers instead of a tight end, but with 2 receivers skating down, 2 skating receivers in 1 slot. But it's all still the same concept. We'll get, as you come across here, you can see on the downside. We'll get to another clip of it here in a bit, but you see a nice bang dig down here, despite almost being offside, and he was offside, but bang dig. But you see how tight that the fence becomes there in the middle. Hard to work your way through. Didn't really push it past there. Didn't feel he had the guy on him, so he had to push it past his depth. Could have maybe got a little bit, again, a step beyond the fence before he dove back underneath it. And again, you see here, tailback, he feels he out-leveraged. And again, another great solo tackle here. So looking at where that linebacker comes from, that's a hell of a play.
Getting your guys in space. I mean, giving them good opportunities. And you had a couple good tackles there. Here we have looks like a quad look.
Yep. So this is going to be a drive look here. So you're going to see the step up field before coming under here. We're skating down into the 7 split for the drive. But again, he takes that 1 step up field before coming underneath. And this is an opportunity here you see for that basic to window shop. He might have, he's shopping the early window here. He might have even brought it a little bit too far. He could turn that into more of a hard hook, but that you see what he's looking at there and what his job is. And the whole thing is if you don't get your eyes inside in the stem portion of your route, you see a great job of his head coming inside there. So many times with younger receivers, they get to the top of their route and then they're like, okay, where am I going? Where's the window? You've got to use that stem portion to determine where the droppers are and find the window because it's too late to make the decision now. As you come across, you see him here. He does a good job trying to make a lot of noise and uses foot fire and arm fire here to make some noise coming into that stop in the cylinder. He's a little tight, could push that a little wider, but that's the idea there. So again, you see a bunch of stuff happening around him. I think this is a drive stop. Yep. So the number 1 receiver runs essentially a 6-yard in stop route to replace the original split. So, but again, you can do all sorts of different things outside and opposite this 2 receiver drive concept. The drive is really just talking to those 2 guys. The next one is another drive. So this one, you get a really good look at the outside lean on the basic. and how subtle it can be. But so at number 3 here to the field, he's going to have that little bit of an outside lean. Again, we see he's the first to release. 1 step upfield by the wideout. A little bit of an outside lean to create that separation right there. Now here's the wideout, who is in this case, he's Nate, actually, Nate J, this Saga guy, good Canadian. Coming down, he feels tight man. The DB falls off him late, but based on what he feels initially here, it's tight man right there. He thinks he's got a trailer, so you see him use the stair step right there. Right, and it's subtle if you just let her play through. Just one little kind of vertical push to create a more horizontal portion that allows you to maximize that separation. So he didn't necessarily need to do it here, but he felt a trail guy, and so he used the stair step. So just an example of what that looks like. And then the last clip here is plug in a bang dig on versus 0. This one actually isn't sting. It's off man, which makes it even better. But right up at the top of the field here. So first 5 yards, 5 by 5 inside. His eyes are there the whole way. He expects the ball. As we watch the quarterback, if we let it kind of play full time there, you'll see the quickest 3 or machine gun 3, 1, 2, 3. Really doesn't ever trigger a crossover there. It's just an open step and then get 2 and 3 into the ground as quick as possible and stick it right on his body. Give him a chance to protect himself. And then again, opportunity for yak here because you got athletes. So run through that first arm tackle, make somebody else make the play.
It's a great addition to this concept that really complements it well.
Yep. And this technically isn't this is a mesh happening there. It's not it's kind of I think this is a preseason game, so it's an attempt at a mesh happening there. But it's not necessarily a fence. It can be built into anything with that short in breaker, like I said.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Coach. Really appreciate it and enjoyed that breakdown. So thank you.
Again, thanks for having me. Love what you guys are doing here, and love to be back anytime.
Awesome.